On today's show, I will teach you how to stand out in a crowded marketplace and how to determine your unique value proposition. If you are struggling in this crowded marketplace to get the attention of your ideal and likely buyers, then this is the show for you. Because on today's show, I'm going to teach you specifically how to design the sights, the sounds, the smells, the experience that is going to stand out in a crowded marketplace. I'm going to teach you how to create a no-brainer offer that is so hot, so compelling that your ideal and likely buyers can't resist the urge to check you out. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes! Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere. Dr. Breck, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Clay. I'm well. Yourself?
I'm very excited. It's a beautiful Sunday morning after we finish recording today. I shall be headed off to church with the kids, and I had a great Saturday. What did you do this past Saturday, sir?
So, Little League sports are back in action for us, and so I have 3 daughters, and they all are doing palm and dance or cheer, and so we had ball games that we cheered for the kids who were playing while we were really there to watch our daughters cheer for those kids.
What grades are your kids at this point?
3rd, 5th, and a freshman in high school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jason Beasley, how did you spend your Saturday night?
Oh man, so I spent the majority of my afternoon. I got one of those Yamaha sound mixing boards.
Oh, nice.
And I thought you could just plug it in and be ready to go, and I was wrong. So I spent a good couple of hours learning how to install drivers. But once I got that set, I recorded about 4 videos for my new podcast platform.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then Nathan, what were you doing on your Saturday?
We finally finished out our Mission Impossible marathon.
Oh.
So we've got through all 6 of them, and my kids have now thoroughly been injected with energy.
Dude,
And
how
so-
dope was Fallout?
Oh, it was good.
It was really good.
The bad guy in that one, his voice. So every time I look in your eyes, I see death. And it's like, he's just this, just make your skin crawl all the time kind of guy. So
Yep.
it was a very spectacular
Was
thing.
the villain Bill Gates?
I think he sounded a lot more like Fauci, though. I'm like, it had
Okay.
he's
Just
shorter
good.
and
Yeah.
Wasn't
though
sure
he had-
how evil of a character you had
Yeah.
there. Now, what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about how to stand out in a crowded marketplace. I think a lot of times we go into the world of business believing that our idea is so revolutionary, so great, so inspired that we forget that no one is going to remember who we are if we don't stand out. And so, Dr. Breck, how long ago did you decide that you wanted to become a chiropractor?
Oh, goodness. Now we're probably talking about 20, 21 years ago.
21 years ago.
Yeah, around 20. Yeah,
And
somewhere
when
out there.
you got out of school and you entered into the marketplace, when did it occur to you that it was really about marketing from this point forward? I mean, at what point
Yeah.
did you realize, man, I might be very good, and yes, people might say favorable things about the care I provide, but man, I got to go get some customers.
That would be probably within the first 30 days.
First 30 days?
Yeah.
Jason, how often do we work with a very talented entrepreneur, someone with a great product or service, and they quickly realize, I'm not getting enough leads, enough potential sales. I'm not getting enough sales leads. Wow, I need to figure out this marketing thing. How often does that happen?
Typically, it happens right away when you start tracking.
Yep.
Because most people, that's their biggest flaw is they go in and it's like you said, I've got this great idea, so that means money cometh, and I'm not tracking, so I don't see where the bleeding's happening. And then once you get into it, you realize, oh, well, I have the model, but the results are not what I thought. And then you really start to panic, and you start getting into that whole marketing headspace.
So, Jason, I'm going to read a notable quotable to you from Seth Godin.
All right.
See if you can interpret what it means. Here we go. In a crowded marketplace, fitting in is failing. Not standing out is the same as being invisible. Boring is invisible. Remarkable people and products get talked about. Now, again, this is from Seth Godin, the best-selling author, the man who built his company Yo-Yo Dine and sold it to Yahoo for approximately $30 million, and who now has gone on to become a marketing guru, a best-selling author. I shall read it one more time. In a crowded marketplace, fitting in is failing. Not standing out is the same as being invisible. Boring is invisible. Remarkable people and products get talked about. What does that mean, Jason?
Well, it means that if you don't have some sort of differentiator, if you don't have an element that's going to draw somebody's eye, a deal so good that they can't pass up, you are going to get passed up. You are just going to be another one of those beige vanilla businesses. And I think where most people get stuck on that is you get comfortable in like an industry. Like, Breck is cool because he's the only chiropractor that I've seen to offer not only amazing service, but one hell of a no-brainer to go with that. And he realized, well, I can't just do the same thing that all of these guys do. $100 for, the first visit, which is just an adjustment, or no offer whatsoever and be closed, 9 days out of the week, even though there's only 7. But yeah, no, it's just having something that makes you unbelievably remarkable, even if it's just a little bit remarkable, because if I'm driving down the street and I see you and I see your competitor and your competitor just has that little bit of extra oomph, that's going to draw my attention. And everybody nowadays who's shopping is looking for something exciting. So if you're not exciting, you're not going to be able to scale.
Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few brands, and we're going to talk about what makes this brand stand out. What makes it? Why do we even know the name of the brand? Okay, so let's go with this first one here, Tom's Shoes. Jason, we've not scripted this. We have not gone over this ahead of time, so I want to ask you, what makes Tom's Shoes unique in the marketplace?
Well, they look different than any other shoe. I remember when I first saw them, I thought, don't want to drop anything on these. But they also have a remarkable system of if you buy a pair, they give a pair, and that emotionally engages with people.
It does. And that's why people buy Tom's Shoes. Now, Tom's Shoes stands for tomorrow's shoes. What it means is if you buy a pair of shoes today, tomorrow Blake McCoskey, the founder of Tom's Shoes, is going to give away another pair of shoes.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Okay.
No.
Well, okay.
I thought Tom made them.
This just did. I get 1 mega point. All right. So, again, Tom's Shoes stands out. Now, let's talk about Quick Trip for a second, the gas station chain. I'm not saying that if you're listening right now that you live in an area where there is a Quick Trip. I'm just saying it's really a quality of life issue, and you might want to think about moving.
Yeah.
If you live in an area where there's not a Quick Trip gas station, because Oklahoma City doesn't have a Quick Trip.
They have OnQ, which is like the, copycat version of Quick Trip.
Breck, explain to the listeners out there, what is Quick Trip convenience stores and what makes them unique?
So they sell gasoline like most other convenience stores, but they also go far above and beyond on customer service, on offerings for food, coffee. Clean restrooms is a huge part of what they do.
Very true.
They clean the restrooms, I don't know, maybe after every customer. But then they count their change backwards, making sure that you got the proper change. And they're just very on point all the time.
And they're when you walk into a Quick Trip, they're always going to say hello to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's part of the process.
Sure.
Yeah. They're always going to be super clean.
Right.
They're always going to be upbeat.
Yes.
Now, I'm trying to give the listeners out there some ideas of some things that you could do for your business. So I'm trying to give you some ideas, and then we're going to work at the end of today's show putting it all together so that way you have an action plan. Okay? So think about Tom's Shoes, buy a pair, give a pair. That's what makes them unique. Quick Trip, super clean, quick service, and upbeat. All right? Let's go with Dr. Robert Zellner and Associates. Dr. Robert Zellner and Associates. He's obviously my partner. He's obviously my friend. But beyond that, let's think about this. What makes his business unique? Well, for those of you who live in Tulsa, it's obvious. And for those of you who don't, I'll tell you, it's $99 for the first exam and a pair of glasses. Mm-hmm. $99. And when you walk in, it feels clean, it's quick, it's upbeat. It's kind of a mall-like environment, but it's $99 for the first pair of glasses. Now, that stands out in the crowded marketplace. Jason, you wear glasses, I wear glasses. Yeah. Why does $99 on the sign, first exam, first pair, why does that stand out for customers?
Well, because in the world of optometry, when it comes to getting an appointment with your doctor, going through any testing they have to do, all of your exams, and then by the time you get to glasses, that really stacks up as far as like what the cost is. And so like we talked about yesterday, I was raised by a single mom who had 3 boys, so money was tight. we used to go to an optometrist mainly because her job's insurance covered it, but she would always, as soon as they'd say, hey, do you want to take a look at the frames for your next pair of glasses? She's like, no, that's okay. And then she'd take me right over to Dr. Zellner's when it was off of 31st and Harvard because she liked that place better than any other place in Tulsa.
So we as a consumer, we naturally go to businesses that stand out. And we naturally don't go to businesses that don't stand out.
True.
We as humans, naturally, most people, don't want to stand out because you don't want conflict. So Aristotle once said, the only way to avoid criticism is to say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. I repeat, Aristotle once said, the only way to avoid criticism is to say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. So as we're going through all these ways to stand out, you have to think about who is your ideal and likely buyer. Who do you want to do business with? Let's go to Disney World. Breck, have you taken the kids to Disney World?
I have.
And what makes Disney World unique?
Oh, goodness. I mean, they create the magic that kids' imagination falls into. And so for my family, mostly that involved princesses. But from a dad standpoint, yeah, it's the happiest, quote unquote, happiest place on earth that you're going to pay a whole lot of money to visit in a very hot and humid environment and stand in line all day long.
Now, when you say your family, you mean yourself, right? The princess.
Yeah.
I don't.
If you guys go to Disney World is very upbeat. It's very you go there and there's an energy in the place, and when you get greeted as soon as you walk through the gates. It's super clean. I mean, over the top,
and everybody's friendly,
next
and
level clean, and it's just everything's choreographed. The music is choreographed. They've clearly thought through the sights, the sounds, the smells. What is the experience they want you to have? Now let's go to Hobby Lobby. Nathan, what makes Hobby Lobby unique?
First, the founder.
Okay.
He just pours his life into each one of those stores. I believe he actually has a store inside of his warehouse down in Oklahoma City.
He does.
Opportunity to tour, but when you go in there, you've got friendly people. You've got amazing stuff it seems chaotic because he's got so much stuff, but it's got such a flow and a pattern to it that he's meticulously designed. There's always really good, like a kind of a sweet worship music environment to it where you're looking at stuff and it just feels this pleasant. If you want to have a good, peaceful, awesome afternoon, walk into a Hobby Lobby and you will feel better about the world.
Now, if you are looking for art supplies, say you want to do a painting, you want to do colored pencils, you want to do some type of stencil work, you want to do some type of home decor, Hobby Lobby has a huge selection of items, and they're Christian owned. They don't hide that. In fact, they put that out front. And then they have discounts everywhere. I mean, shameless discounts.
Yeah. You go in unprepared. You're like, oh, I actually didn't have the extra $2 I needed. They're like, oh, let me scan 60 coupons for you.
No, seriously.
Or they go through a list of what job do you have? Are you a teacher? Are you in a church? Are you? And they've got a discount for one of those career
They have
moves.
discounts everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Again, what makes them unique? There's a lot of things that make them unique, but they have a huge selection of items. They're Christian owned. They don't hide behind it. They're very outspoken about it. And they have huge discounts everywhere to the point that some people think they have too many discounts. I've heard people say, why can't they just come up with an everyday low price? That's not their move.
No, right.
Now let's go to the Apple Store. What makes the Apple Store unique, Jason? What makes the Apple Store unique?
Well, they've got what they call geniuses, which are people who kind of float around, and then all of a sudden you have just the thought of an Apple product or a question, and all of a sudden homeboy's right behind you. Sir, how can I help you? Like, wow, that was fast. And they're very intelligent. They know exactly what they're doing. I'm not an Apple guy, so I'm always intimidated when I go in because they know way more than I do. But also the setup, everything, it's just like an Apple device. It's extremely intelligent, but it's so simple that it makes it even more futuristic. Everything's white. The displays aren't flashy or anything crazy. It's just pure simplistic genius, I guess you could say.
Very simple, very clean, very refined,
Sleek.
very high
Sleek.
technology.
Great word.
I agree with that. And I would say, again, we go back and we say, well, Clay, how does this apply to me? Okay, that's a great question. What we're going to do is I want you to think about your business, and I'm going to pretend for a second that you have a restaurant right now, okay? Let's say that you have a restaurant. someone says, "Did you say restaurant?" I did not say restaurant, but there are places like that are a unique niche that I don't go with.
Twin Peaks.
Yes, but I'm saying that's the
Oh,
thing.
I thought you were referring
Hooters.
to back when Cloud9 was open. They used to have that billboard on the
See, and
corner of
these are-
31st and Yale that said legs and eggs, 3 a.m. to like 12.
See, and these are businesses I would never go to because of that.
Right.
But that's their niche. I want to make sure we get this.
It's their move.
I'm giving you an example of businesses out there, and I'm trying to give you polarizing examples on today's show so you can clearly say, oh, I get it now. So let's do some polarity. I would never go to Hooters for hot wings because I don't like what they stand for. Work with me on this, okay? I would never go to Twin Peaks for a hamburger because I don't like what they stand for. I would not anymore go to Disney World because I do not like what they stand for. What? Yep, I would not. For me moving forward, I would not. Given what I know now, I can no longer support Disney World. You say why? That's a different show. But Chick-fil-A, I can support Chick-fil-A because I know what they stand for. I can, given what I know, buy Tom's shoes because I like what they stand for. All right? So at the very core, your business, you have to figure out what is the purpose. All right? So step one, you have to define your purpose because a business just exists to create both time freedom and financial freedom for the owner. A business exists just to amplify the wherever you want to go with your life. A business is not the destination. A business is simply a vehicle to get you from A to B. So again, when I asked you guys, what did you do yesterday? And I'm not ripping. This isn't a passive-aggressive thing. I asked you,
Right.
what did you do yesterday? Mm-hmm. And all of you said, Jason went and got a mixer. He had a great time working on that. Breck, you hung out with your kids there, the palm and the cheer thing. You didn't say, oh, man, I spent my Saturday alone making a checklist. Now, at one point you had to do that, but you don't have to do it now. I mean, at one
Right.
point, Jason had to go through the gauntlet to learn all the business coaching systems and processes. He had to really get into that. But once you build the business, once you build the system, you can use the business, the system, the skill to create time freedom to go work on your podcast.
Right.
Now, your podcast, what's your podcast about?
So it's a two-part. The actual audio podcast is kind of like a interview where me being the open-minded non-believer that I am, I try to get other people's viewpoints so I could appreciate, everything better.
Got it.
Just about good people. But then the YouTube portion is just musical breakdowns. So diving into music that I know, introducing people to music they might not know, and vice versa. It's like yesterday, me and my brother broke down Kane Brown. I have no idea what modern country is like, so I got that as a recommendation and went into it, and I left thinking, wow, I've been missing out. This is really catchy. And it just so happens that he was mixed like me, and the podcast is called Mixed Company, so it was all just like a trifecta. It just came together.
When you say mixed, what do you mean by mixed?
Oh, biracial.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was
okay.
thinking wiki.
Wow. Okay.
No, I'm not there yet. I still have to work on the sound editing.
Okay, so step one, define your purpose. Define your purpose. If you go into In-N-Out Burgers today, when you buy a hamburger or you buy a soft drink or French fries, at the bottom of all of the packaging, you will find Bible verses. Why? Because the owner of Hobby Lobby was once a communist, and he claims that Christ changed forever the way he thinks and renewed his mind, and therefore he wanted to bake it into the culture. But I'm not saying that's what you have to do. I'm saying you have to figure out today, what is your purpose? By the way, people don't want to work for a business owner that doesn't have a purpose. Just want to throw that out there for you. Nobody likes, Breck, why don't people like to work for somebody who has no idea of where they're going?
Well, if they had a huge goal, passion for something themselves, they would be the business owner. They would be the leader. But people that are looking to work for somebody else, they want to follow that leadership. But they have to know that it's there. And so you've got to be clear in what your purpose is, what your drive is, what your passion is, and then other people are getting on board with your vision.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, again, step one, let's figure out our purpose. Again, I'm not telling you that my purpose is the perfect purpose. I'm just saying this is what my purpose is. My purpose, clearly, all I want to do is help to amplify or magnify 160 clients. That's really all I want to do. And if you're listening to the show, I would love to help millions of you to improve your business, hopefully by listening to these shows. That's what I want to do. I don't want to work with 161 clients. I don't want to build the world's largest coaching program. I don't want to open up 14 Elephant in the Room stores. I don't want to open up any more Elephant in the Room stores. I'm happy with the 3 we have. We have 2 great franchise locations. And if anybody else out there fits the criteria needed to be an Elephant in the Room franchisee, I would love to talk to you about it. But the reality is most of the people that I've talked to about buying an Elephant in the Room franchise haven't been a good fit. Why? Because their purpose is the antithesis of my purpose. And I'm not going to compromise the brand and what I stand for to work with somebody else for the acquisition of money. But you have to define your purpose. Everybody got to do that. Sit down. What are your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? What are your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? You have to do that. Now, step 2, you have to define your ideal and likely buyers. Who's going to buy it? So let's go to Tom's Shoes. Tom's Shoes, they are sold to people who are, I would call it, extremely conscious consumers. I would say people that want to make sure that all their purchases are helping those in need. I would say people, a lot of hipsters buy Tom's Shoes.
I was going to say hipster. I'm glad you said it first.
And like where I, as a person, would say, the church. This is how I believe it. I believe that God came down to the earth through His Son. His Son died on the cross. 3 days later, He ascends. He's seated at the right hand of God. The church is Christ's body on earth, and therefore the church is the light of the world, and as a believer, you're supposed to give to the church, and then the church helps those in need, the widows and those who cannot afford to help themselves. That's what a church is supposed to do, in my mind. Now, people that don't go to church, as a general rule, and I'm not saying that Christians don't buy Tom's Shoes, just work, but right. People I find that do not go to church, they still have this desire to give back, and they're not really sure how to do it because they don't go to church. So for me, I say, well, the church is how I give, and then the church does what it does. People that don't go to church, they feel like, man, I gotta get back. Mm-hmm. I gotta find some way to help. And I find that a lot of people that are more progressive, more hipstery, they like Tom's Shoes. Mm. Now, that being said, go to their website, look at their website, look how it's built, look how it's designed, look at the phrases it has on the website, and decide right now, is that who you're marketing to or not? I would never wear shoes with little kittens on them. I don't think.
Come on. The owls look like they'd be right up your alley.
The owls. I would never wear jeans where I roll them up at the bottom either. I wouldn't do that.
It would go so well with a matching infinity scarf. How else do you write your screenplays, Clay?
I would never. There's a lot of stuff on this website that people buy, and apparently a lot of people buy these things.
And they're very thin soles, which is way different than your Yeezys.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not a lot of support, in the arches. They're very very thin, not like the athletic shoe, comfortable shoe that you're used to.
You don't like your shoelaces made of hemp?
I own a couple pairs of Toms, so
you like them?
They're okay. They're not my favorite pair of shoes.
I'm not ripping them. I'm just trying to point out that there's somebody buying them.
Oh yeah, people are definitely buying them. And the first pair my wife bought for me because she falls more in that category, and I was like, I don't know about these.
She likes to get back to things.
She does.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But it resonated with her more than it did me.
There you go.
And I've worn them, but they're not the most comfortable. But to me, it's kind of like wearing a pair of sandals or flip-flops. They're just a very light slip-on shoe, casual.
I think there's 2 customers for shoes. There's the ones who want to buy a pair to give a pair, or like Shoe Carnival, there's a group that want to buy a pair, get the next pair half off. Or they're wanting the discount for themselves.
If there was a shoe company that said, have a pair, buy a pair. For every pair of shoes you buy, we give ammo to some conservative in need. I could get down with that.
You're buying those shoes?
Great.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to make sure we get this, though. So define your purpose. Define your ideal and likely buyer. That doesn't mean everybody is going to want to buy from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to pretend that we all have with the 4 of us teamed up, and we've decided to open up a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And this restaurant's going to serve hamburgers, and it's going to have to compete with In-N-Out Burger. It's going to do hamburgers, cheeseburgers. It's going to do the American food, okay? Hamburgers, cheeseburgers. It's going to do French fries, and that's about all we're going to do, okay? Now, we have to stand out versus In-N-Out Burger.
Right.
Because they're across the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. Okay. And again, just for the sake of this example, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying for the sake of this example. Okay. Let's say we want to beat In-N-Out Burger, and we are all conservatives. So we're going to go with the sights, and everyone listening right now, write this down. Okay. The sights, the sounds. Everybody write this down. Sights, sounds, smells. All right. Sights, sounds, smells. You want to get the no-brainer going. You got to get the no-brainer off for sights, sounds, smells, no-brainer, and the experience. Okay. We got to think about the decor. Folks, you have to think about that decor, okay, and the uniforms. This is what we're going to talk about right now, okay? Sights, sounds, smells, uniforms, and the signage. We're going to work through these 8 moves together, and we're going to come up with a business that stands out in the crowded marketplace. So here we go. 1, sights. We're going to call it, because there's one benevolent dictator who happens to be me who's in charge, we're going to call the business Trumptastic Burgers. Trumptastic Burgers. Now, we're going to pretend that we have permission to do this. We're going to pretend that we can do this. And then we think we forget about it. We call winners and king. We ask, can we use the phrase Trumptastic? Because we believe we can use it. I believe we can. And Breck's saying, no, you got to check the copyright.
You got to check.
Anyway, we come back. Turns out we can't use Trumptastic.
We could just shorten it to TB Burgers, and then everyone will know it says Trumptastic Burgers.
So
They're
we're
like,
gonna
hey, let's go to TB's.
So we come
Like
back.
Salmonellas.
So we come back and we say, can we do elephant burgers? And they go, yeah, but it sounds kind of weird. People are going to think you're eating elephants. Okay. So we're going to
But it does stand out.
Red meat.
red meat. There it is. Now there you go. So now Jason comes back and says, what about red meat? Boom, boom, approved. Red meat. That's the name of the company. Red Meat Burgers. All right. So you go in there and it's red meat. And we'll call it red meat, all American food. Okay. All American food for, let's see, all American food. Okay, great. Now, we talk about, okay. Now, the sites. I want right away all of our employees to wear Donald Trump wigs. That's part of the deal. If you work there, you have that's your uniform. You have to wear Trump wigs.
And every burger is huge.
So let's talk about this.
Huge.
Why do you have to, Jason? If we made everyone wear Trump wigs,
Yeah.
why would that work and not work for some people?
Well, it would work kind of like, and a callback to my awesome shirt that Nathan mentioned. Did you ever see Pulp Fiction, Clay?
I can't do it, but I know people like the movie. Yeah.
So there's a scene in the movie where John Travolta and Uma Thurman go to a restaurant, and each section of the restaurant is a different time period, and each server is a different like iconic personality from that time period. And why that stands out is there's a bit of nostalgia. Like, that's going to connect with somebody. No matter who you are, you go there, there's something for everybody. But it's also different because, you can go to Olive Garden and the servers wear a black polo, black jeans. So having the Trump wigs would be something where people would be like, wow, that's actually funny. That stands out. But at the same time, it'd be incredibly divisive to anybody who, let's say, was not Republican, who decided to go get an awesome burger, and now they're having some sort of like, morality complex because they want the food, but they don't want, what it stands for.
So the company's called Red Meat. Good job on that. You get a mega point. So Red Meat, all American food, huge portions for conservative people.
We need a $5 shake.
All right.
Yes.
So now you go in there and you've got required Trump wigs. All right? Now the decor in there, we're gonna put up pictures of the most like Americans. Everything is like Abraham Lincoln.
Shirtless Abraham Lincoln.
Shirtless Abraham Lincoln.
Reagan Bush.
Everything is Reagan. We got just everything.
Bald eagle with a mullet.
Everything in the place is either a President Reagan, a President Trump, a President Lincoln. It's just very in your face with the conservative movement. Okay? Now, what would happen is if we did that, we would have a lot of people in our town that would talk about it.
For sure.
For sure.
It would get noticed.
You could not talk about it.
Right.
You would go, dude, 91st and Yale, there's smash burgers. But over there is this place called Red Meat. You go, is it good? Oh, dude, they have huge portions for conservative people.
Huge.
Now, the sizes, okay? So we got to carry the whole thing out, okay? So when you order, you don't have what, small, medium, large. When you go to Starbucks, what is it? It's like venti,
Tall, grande, venti.
venti.
Trenta.
We're going to start off with beautiful. That's our first size. It's beautiful, and then there's huge.
Huge.
And that's all you get to do. Because that's what President Trump would do. Be beautiful, huge.
So far, we're definitely not allowed in New York.
How about this?
For sure.
Beautiful, great, and huge. All right? Now the
And best ever.
best ever. Oh yeah. Now
It's the best. It's the best ever.
that's awesome. Now the menu. Okay, let's go to the menu here. On the menu, everything on the menu has to be the best ever.
Right.
So the waiter
Best
would,
ever coffee. Best ever fries.
Right.
Right. So the waiter says to you, he says, "Hey, what do you recommend?" Everything's the best ever.
Best ever.
So best ever everything. Everything's the best ever. All right. Now, if we were to carry this out all the way, it works.
Right.
If you don't, it doesn't. Now, the no-brainer. Think about conservatives. Think about what they love. Think about what they love. The first burger is going to have to cost something because it costs, So maybe it's half off, 50% off your first meal. Maybe that gets people in the deal in there, 50% off of your first meal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that gets people in. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, but the no-brainer has to be so hot that people want to stop by.
Right.
So if we're driving by a burger place and we see this sign that says red meat, all American food, huge portions for conservative people. How much of a discount, or what do you need the first time, Nathan, before you would go in? Sincerely, what would you need? What kind of deal would you need the first? Because again, it's safer just to go to Five Guys.
Right.
It's safer just to go to Smash Burger. It is safer just to stick with who we've always used.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of deal would you need before you and your wife would try something new?
Probably a BOGO deal where you get in there and say, buy one. Actually, buy an adult meal and get your kids free. That'll get parents in there.
So buy one, get one free. That would work for you. Buy an adult meal, get a kids one free.
Yeah. Hey,
Breck, what would you need?
That would work.
What would you need, Breck?
Yeah, that would work for me.
It would work for you?
Mhm.
What would you need, Jason?
See, I don't have kids, so
Right.
immediately I'm like, well, I guess that doesn't apply to me. Trying to think of what I would value as far as, so if we're looking at like the huge portions, so maybe your first meal at some incredible discount, or you get some freebie with it. Like let's say, okay, so any of the modern restaurants I've either worked at or gone to, they all have a gift shop now for some reason. So if we were to do something like, have all of our red meat branded shirts and hats and stuff, is your first meal, you get a free piece of swag to take home with you.
A MAGA hat.
There you go.
So
MAGA
you
hat.
It's like, oh my God, it's like the toy in a Happy Meal, but for an adult.
Yeah.
This is great. No, but seriously, we would have to work through that. And how do we know if it works? We would put out the signs.
Yep.
And if people show up, it works.
Right.
Now let's go back. We got to be thinking about these areas. The menu. Everything would say the best everything.
Right.
Every item would be the best ever salad, the best ever hamburgers, the best ever. Now, when it comes to the adult beverages, we're going to serve Sam Adams
Oh, there you go.
and some other beverage with no description called Liberal Tears.
Well, we can't serve vodka because it's communist.
There it is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but you're take it.
It's got to be all American. I mean,
Actually, there is vodka made in Oklahoma. I'll give it that.
grown
By communists.
By communists? I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
Look into it, buddy. Can't ruin our business. All right. Now, but seriously, now the smells. I think the smells pretty much take care of themselves because it's you have the fresh, you have the grill
No,
smell.
you need to do it specifically. So you take a fan and you take a vent that goes out the top and you take one area that's only frying bacon and grilling a burger, and then you just pump that into the parking lot and out into the street, and then everyone will just flock in. Because
Disney World does pump the smells out. So you want to intentionally pump the smells out, okay? Now, what about the music? So often people forget about the music, all right? Because we're busy? Yeah, we're busy. And because what? Because I don't know. We just forget these things. And then what you end up with is without an intentional something, everything drifts.
right.
Unless you're intentional, it just drifts. It does.
I think at least once an hour on that playlist, we'd have to have Toby Keith's Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, because it doesn't get more American than that.
Oh, nice. Toby Keith,
4th of July every day.
That's right.
Yep.
Courtesy. Jason, what's a few other songs we'd have to have?
Ooh, let's see. As far as what we're going for,
So you got to have some Sweet Home Alabama.
Right.
You know, very
Sweet
iconic Americana.
Sweet Home
you know.
Alabama. Yeah. Okay. Sweet Home Alabama. Oh, okay. Here's one. Living in America, James Brown.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We have James Brown. We have Born in the USA.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yes.
Born in the USA by Springsteen.
Oh, gotta go. Danger
Please,
Zone.
please,
Yeah.
please,
Oh,
never
wow.
ever play "Party in the USA" though. I don't ever want to hear that song again.
By Miley Cyrus.
Yes, that just
Wow. Okay. Yeah. But the music has to be intentional.
Right.
The sounds, the sights. Now, this is obvious. People know this, but I'm just asking, what color should we use? I don't know. Red, white, and blue. That's what we would do.
Sounds good.
Because the whole theme is a very American, pro-conservative. Now, I would recommend we would keep going. We would keep going to the next level.
I think we need a very large flag waving out front.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Signage. Just a huge,
60-foot flagpole.
huge American flag. And what we want to do is we want to have the doors. There are doors you can make them where the door is a gun.
Oh, that'd be so sick. Yeah, that's like. Did you ever go to Albert G's downtown?
No.
So have you guys ever been there? The barbecue shop. So there's
Not
one
downtown.
There's one on Harvard, which
Right.
is like like the typical like stop in, nothing special looking barbecue place. But downtown they really riched it up because it's in the like downtown food area. So it's super minimalist and very architectural on the outside. But as soon as you go to open that door, that handle is a butcher's knife that they just like slammed in the door, and it just gives it like a little extra level of just coolness.
And I would say if you're out there listening today, and you're trying to go, well, how do I do it? How do I do this? Like, let's go through it. I want to make sure everybody can apply this stuff. Okay. So 1, you define your purpose. 2, you define your ideal and likely buyers. Clearly, in this example, I'd only want to work with conservative people.
Yeah.
And now, again, I want to make sure we get this idea. Not only is that true of this example, but that's true right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening right now and you're going, are you saying you don't want to work with me? If I'm not conservative. Yeah. So step 2, define your ideal and likely buyers. 3, create a no-brainer. Clay, you just made 49% of your listeners turn off the show. That's fine. But you have to figure out who your ideal and likely buyers are. Now, step 4, design your unique value proposition, which is what we just did for you. We went over the sights, the sounds, the smells, the no-brainer, the experience, the menu, the decor, the uniforms, the signage. And if you do all those things, it becomes very easy to stand out in a crowded marketplace. It's so easy. Now, let me give you examples of stuff that I think is funny, and maybe you guys don't. But have you guys ever been to an event where there's a streaker?
Whew, thank God I have not. No.
I have.
No, yeah.
I've always wanted to be the streaker at an event, but I hadn't hit my physique goal. So I think once I do, it's happening.
I don't think that matters when you're streaking.
I want to call
That's not
before
what they
this
look at.
happens.
Oh, yeah.
They don't look
I will call
your
you from the
biceps.
field. Breck, look what I'm doing.
Now, I want to just show you guys how amazing. I'm not saying we should streak. I'm just wanting to point out there are streakers. So I'm going to watch. This is a streaker who runs into the field at MetLife Stadium 3 years ago. I'm going to cue up the audio and the video. Here we go. Let's watch him.
I'll watch this with my eyes closed.
Look at him.
I think they've got it blurred.
He's making it for the sidelines. He's trying to get in the end zone. Look at him. He's got some. Oh, he gets tackled.
Ooh, grass stains.
But I guarantee everybody who attended that game is going to remember that streaker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's a move. Oh, this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, here we go. Watch this guy. Here we go. This is a compilation of streakers. Look at this guy. Here we go. Oh, come on. Show me a good streaker. Here we go. Oh, this guy.
Why are they all uncoordinated? They all face plant.
Oh, this guy. Here we go.
There was one I watched where it went on for a long time because the guy was good. He had moves.
Oh, look at this. Unbelievable. All I'm saying is that you have these streakers, and they're going to be remembered at the game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying you should become a streaker. What I'm saying is that's memorable. So let's take it back a notch and say, I don't want to be a streaker. How about the Dental Depot?
Mm-hmm.
He's a dentist in Tulsa that has a train in front of his business.
Yep.
The entire...
You would think it's a hobby shop for trains. I
Exactly.
mean, it's very
The-
fantastic.
The entire model of his dentistry is train themed.
Yeah, which is inviting for kids because for some reason all kids are into trains when they're young, but like they all hate the dentist. So what better way to just kind of take that fear away?
It's a move. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Again, why do you have to stand out? Because it's really hard to buy from somebody if you don't remember who they are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There are so many people, so many companies competing for your attention, so many pop-up ads, so much in the clutter of commerce. You've got to get the attention of your ideal and likely buyer. Nathan, you had a hot take.
Well, I want to take one other side of this, and this is where I kind of came from. And I'll give you a quick, short story. If you don't do this, you still will stand out. It just won't be for the right reasons. I went up to a customer's house. We had a nice wrapped band, but it was about 6 or 7 years old, so it's starting to get that crack around where all the little edges go. We've all seen the van,
Right.
and the wrap's kind of peeling off. Walk up to the guy. Guy looks at me. I do a great job cleaning the carpets, and when he gets done, he says, "Son, I got to tell you, when you first pulled up in that van, I honestly thought I'd made a terrible, terrible mistake. He goes, luckily your work is good enough. I might call you back again, but you need to get that van fixed.
Did you tell him it was all about low expectations?
Yeah,
That's what
setting
you
the bar
wanted.
low. Some people set the bar so high they can just walk right underneath it. But if you don't set it up, you're going to eventually have your techs with a van that the whole front dash is covered with newspaper and old bags of chips and stuff. I mean, you'll end up making a memorable mark. It'd just be one that no one will ever want to use again. So you got to, if you don't plan it, you will definitely lose it, because this doesn't happen by accident. What happens by accident is awful and people won't call you back.
True.
I think people are afraid, though, Jason, to stand out.
Yeah, they really are.
And so give us an example of a client that you worked with that implemented and did stand out. Maybe somebody you can think of that you say, I worked with this guy, worked with this person, and they were able to stand out, and now things are good. Can you think of one?
Oh, so immediately I have to say James and the team at ECS Electric. So they are electrical contractors based out of Broken Arrow. They service the greater Oklahoma area. But one of the things to differentiate, because just like with roofing or remodeling or plumbing in Tulsa, you can't throw a stone without hitting 6 different, mom and pop electricians. And so he had and also one of the clients that we used to work with was his biggest competition in the area. They had already gone through the proven system and scaled. So he's like, how do I stand out? And I asked him, what's the one thing that you've heard that clients hate when your tech show up to the job? He goes, well, I don't really know. I haven't really heard anything as far as those complaints go. And I said, I'll give you one. I was driving just around Tulsa one day and I saw one of his competitors. I won't say their name. But homeboy was driving a beautifully branded company van. He was shirtless. He was chain smoking. And like you said, Nathan, he had trash all over the dash. I'm like, if I see that and I know that I have them booked for a future appointment, I'm not going to go with that.
Intentional, right? It sounds like you have to be intentional is what you're saying.
They need to look like they are professional. So all of them went out and got these amazingly professional and sleek looking Under Armour polos. So it looks like they're going to, an office job, but they're still, comfortable enough to work. And they all are the ECS blue, and they've got the logo. And then he went a step further after he saved up some more, and he wrapped his fleet vehicles. So now when you see him, you know that business. He is a literal just driving billboard. And what was really cool was using all of that branding that he did to really stand out during COVID shutdowns and everybody was slow and they shut their doors. He would pay people to drive that van around. So people always had a constant, awareness that they were there. So ECS has really gone one step further as far as my clients of really stepping out, not being vanilla, and showing that they can be different in such a crowded market.
Now, if you are somebody who says, hey, I want to do what Quick Trip does. I want to be super clean. I want to be known as the clean place. Well, I think a lot of people have that idea. I don't think anybody says, I want to be the dirtiest business.
Right.
So what you have to do in order to be that company, if you're going to be a Quick Trip and you want to be known for being a super clean, fast environment, you have to train. You've got to train your people till they can't get it wrong. Yep. And then you have to have a mystery shopper that goes in your store. So at Elephant in the Room, we have mystery shoppers that go into the men's haircut chain every single day. They get a free haircut. Nobody knows the haircut's free except for me. They go in and then they text me their feedback or they call me with their feedback every single time. And that's what keeps our team accountable, is because they know we have mystery shoppers coming in. I'm getting feedback constantly. That's how it works. So you can't just have the idea today, folks. We got to take the idea. We've got to write it down. We've got to be intentional about it. And then we have to create a quality control loop, which we have other shows on, but a quality control loop where you have an intentional system where you pull the weeds once a week. Breck, if you don't inspect them, you have a great staff now. But if you don't check that bathroom, over time, what happens?
Oh, it's going to get awful. Yeah, I mean, things just, if you're not intentional, you're not proactive, it's going to backslide very quickly.
Very quickly. So, folks, what we have to do, again, is we have to stand out in the crowded marketplace. And how do we do it? 1, we define our purpose. 2, you got to define your ideal and likely buyers. Who do you want to sell to? 3, create a no-brainer offer that is so hot, so incredible that people just can't resist trying you out at least once. And then step 4, you have to design your unique value proposition, specifically your sights, your sounds, your smells, your experience, the decor. Everything somebody sees or touches must wow. And after each and every show, before we end each and every show, we like to end with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And that is the kind of energy it takes to go from just listening to this show to actually implementing it. Now, when you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you listen to today's show, I put the show notes for each and every show there, so you can go to that specific show and you can print off all the homework you have to do. Or you can book a ticket to an in-person workshop where we're going to hand you actual worksheets and workbooks, and you can leave with tangible action items that you need to take.
You got to come. They're amazing.
You've just got to. We somehow have to bridge the gap right now from being an intender to being a doer, from being somebody who just learns a bunch of stuff to being somebody who implements stuff. And I don't know the words to say to you to convince you to apply what you're learning, other than I can tell you that Thomas Edison once said, he said, vision without execution is hallucination. Somebody just got offended. Again, vision without execution is hallucination. It really is a complete epic waste of time to learn what to do and to not implement. And so I encourage you, I implore you, I beg you, I wish you would implement what you're learning today, because we have so many great people that we've worked with over the years, like Complete Carpet over here, Dr. Breck, Koloff Fitness, OxyFresh, great brands who are doing so well as a result of implementing what they were learning, not just hearing something. It's not about the acquisition of knowledge. It's about implementation. Implementation is the only thing that's going to help you to increase your compensation. You have to apply what you're learning. And now, without any further ado, we're going to end this thing with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.